Welcome to the Million Dollar Multi-Op Podcast. Here, you're going to find education, entertainment, and a little inspiration on how to get to the next level. Are you a DJ company owner that's looking for the secret sauce? Congrats, you found it.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, David Osborne, with BlueprintLearn.com. And today on the podcast, we've got a great friend of mine, an inspiring figure in the mobile DJ and production industries, none other than my man, Chris Hintz. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm great, David. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. And everyone that's listening out there, I've known Chris several years. I think we actually met in person in 2019, but we've been friends even longer than that. We had our Monday morning meetup group prior to that. And I'm excited to listen and to learn alongside everyone else that's listening out there in the world, to learn from Chris. Now, a couple things you need to know about Chris before we dive into DJ stuff is Chris has, 92 dogs, right?
16 paws, so that's 4. Carry the one.
Okay.
Yeah, 4.
We need a name rundown. Tell us about the dogs.
Diesel is a 10-year-old boxer, female. The first one. Then Sheba is a almost 2-year-old English bulldog. Then Axel is also an almost 2-year-old English bulldog. And then we have Gus, who is about 8-month-old English bulldog.
Okay, go dogs. I'm in Athens, Georgia. Go dogs. We can get down with the bulldogs just fine. Those are some headstrong dogs, though.
They're available for NIL. So I mean, if Georgia needs a new mascot, we have 3 in the running. So
I say bring them down. Let's make a day of it. Good. And the other thing that I know, I know a lot of things about Chris, but when we're recording this, last night, major victory for the old Vikings.
Yeah, I can't hardly believe it. They beat the 49ers, and they were supposed to have one of the best teams in the NFC, which they are still one of the best teams. But yeah, it was actually a really good game. Kirk Cousins kind of shed the whole, can't perform in primetime last night. It was a hell of a game he had. So
right, and I think when you live in Sioux Falls, are the Vikings the team if you live in Sioux Falls, or are there any split loyalties?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who like the Chiefs also, but I think the Vikings have the lion's share of attention where we are. So
nice.
They are like the next door neighbor team. So
you got to cross that state line, though.
Yeah, that's true. It's a little scary sometimes, but we'll manage.
And the other thing that I know about Chris Hintz, and a lot of people know this about Chris, if you've been around the DJ industry for a while, Chris is a hustler. He is always working hard. He is great at outworking people. And most of the time that I'm talking to Chris, he's in his van and he's going to a job or from a job, or he's got a snowplow attached to the front of the thing, or I don't even know how you do it, but he's always hustling. He's always finding a way to make an honest buck. And I think one of the unifying things between all the things that I've ever seen you do to make money is that you've done things to help people. So you got the snowplow out, you're helping people. You're entertaining people as a DJ, you're helping people. You're doing large-scale, beautiful production, you're helping people. So talk to me about that. Talk to the listeners about that. What drives you? What makes you want to serve people?
Well, I think there's multiple reasons. I think when I first got into my first job was in hospitality, so it's taking care of people. And my grandfather used to have a community garden. He used to fix small engines. He would go to the dump ground and pull out copper out of refrigerators and aluminum and smelt it down. And he did all kinds of things. And he had a bait shop. So his whole philosophy was, we're here to help see each other through, not to see through each other. And that was a big thing for me. He also would say things like, you can have whatever you want as long as you help other people get what they want. And I feel like that is a very strong sentiment, in multiple ways. So for me personally, I got into the DJ industry because I wanted to be social, go out and make money instead of being social, go out and spend money. So that's really how the DJ business itself started. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to do all of the things I would do if you were my client. And, eventually people do business with people they like, and that's just the way this works. So if there's a time where there's a change, right, in either the person or the product, and you're that old steady face that's familiar, that they've seen, that's never, caused any issues, maybe they give you a shot.
Money raised up right there. That's the sound effect. Because, I actually really enjoy hearing that history, because it's very illuminating. I think you're talking about growing up with the DNA of a hustler, but then being shown the way, being taught the values, and then growing up in that. And my mind's over here putting all these pieces together, and it's almost like you're the king of karma, because you're living it. You're giving out, you're pouring out, you're serving other people, and then you just know you're banking that energy, and it's going to come back someday in some way. And as long as you plant all these little seeds along the way, they're going to grow into these great trees that will shade you and your family.
Well, it's kind of funny, because a lot of the things that the harvest that we're making now is from seeds that have been planted literally years and years ago. Some of our biggest clients that we have now were clients that we helped at a very, very small level with very, very little budget, and then they move into different verticals and start moving their way up into, different jobs, different capacities, and they take you with, if that makes sense. So,
yeah, well, if they love you, and if you've done the job to make them feel good, make them feel seen, make them feel heard, make them feel valued, they're gonna carry you along for the ride. Like you just said, they're gonna help, see you through. They're gonna help your journey.
Yeah, I do think we're all here to help each other. I genuinely do, and that kind of parlays itself into many aspects of my life. Like you said, with moving snow for people who can't necessarily move it anymore. There's a lot of people who can't or don't want to, and that's totally fine. And then on the industry side of things, there's a lot of people that have been to bad weddings, and I don't want there to be a bad wedding, at least not on my watch. And so I think what you said about me is pretty fair. I like people. I like the sales process, and I like providing joy. So,
this is a podcast about multi-ops, right? This is a podcast for multi-op owners who are trying to level up. And I think one of the struggles that I have struggled with for years, and I mean, I'd say that pretty much everyone struggles with, and I'm sure you have too, is how do you find people that can carry that same torch that you carry? So think something that's so near and dear to who you are as a human. How do you go out in Sioux Falls and find people that are, the princess of karma, or or whoever, like how are you recruiting people to carry the Pinnacle brand the way that you would?
I think there are two different phases of that for our company. I think when we were first starting, one of our biggest ways that we were able to generate that allure to come work for us was that we were a fun company that was young and upbeat. We weren't stuffy, stodgy, and corporate. And I think during those times, the people that were going to the same events that we were hosting, whether it be the karaoke at the bars or whether it was nightlife at the bars, if they're going out on that random Tuesday night to sing karaoke, then they're available to do things and do the same thing we did, where it's like, hey, I know you enjoy this on a Tuesday night. It's a lot of fun here at Bennigan's, but have you ever thought about hosting karaoke? Like, you're outgoing, you got a great voice, you could easily go out and make money instead of go out and spend money the same way that we were doing it, kind of the same approach, and say something to the effect of, if you work for us for 2 nights a month or 2 nights a week every month, like, that's going to pay your rent. Or if you work 1 night a week for the whole month, that's going to pay your car payment. Or if you work 2 times a month, that's going to pay your insurance bill. So, like, I'm here to help supplement your income, not provide the whole thing. And as we've grown, where we have 37 full-time employees now, and like 56 or 57 part-time employees in all aspects of our company, the changes on the hiring process has been a lot easier, because as the reputation has grown, the allure to come work for us. We're not fishing anymore, or at least not as much as we used to. Now a lot of the fish are jumping into the boat because they want to be a part of that team. Take away all of the obstacles, or as many of the obstacles as you can take away from those employees, so that when they come to work, this is their fun job. They look forward to this. This isn't that 8 to 5 grind where it's like, Jesus, I got to be on another call that could have been an email. We try to do all of those things.
I think that's the level up. That's the level up.
Yeah.
You hit on a couple really key things. You're making the job seem really appealing to the potential job market. You're not, I see a lot of people, in my market, in the country, they put out ads and they'll say things like, looking for a DJ, must be able to lift 50 pounds, working nights and weekends. And I'm like, whoa, does anything seem worse than that? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem fun. But if you, like you said, if you switch it up, you switch it around, you use language that's exciting, use imagery that's exciting, you put it, you're already going out. So instead of spending money, make money. You could be making money going to karaoke.
I can say this. I think that if you talk to most of our employees, they would tell you that their worst day at this job is better than most best days at other jobs. And that is enough for me. It's not always going to be perfect, but we live in a world of imperfect people with imperfect thoughts and imperfect habits. We can't possibly expect perfection in that scenario, but you can expect constant growth. You can expect correction. You can expect people to try their best and give their best. And at the end of the day, if you're giving your best, that's all we can ask of people.
Couldn't agree more. I can always count on Chris Hintz to bring the heat with amazing answers. Chris is one of the smartest people I know. And Chris, 2 things to finish us out today. First of all, tell everyone how they can find you online.
Sure. Well, you can find me on Facebook, Facebook/DJ Chris Hintz. Same thing with Instagram, LinkedIn, Christopher Hintz, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. There's only one of me, thankfully. That's where you can find me. You can also reach out to me via email, chris@pinnacleprodj.com. Or if you want my cell number, call David. He'll give it to you.
There you go. Ooh, putting me in the hot seat. And are there any shows, any conferences that are coming up either this year or I would say the first half of next year that we can see you at, either you're speaking or participating in or on panels or anything like that?
Well, I'm speaking at the Wedding MBA this year, first time ever. Super excited about that. I'll be speaking Wednesday at 4 o'clock, I believe. I'm speaking about some of the new tech and trends that are happening in the wedding industry, basically going with the sideline that weddings are theater, and how are we able to set these scenes for our couples so that they have these magical moments that get documented, captured, and shared. So I'll be speaking about that at the Wedding MBA. We are having a little Pinnacle non-conference. How you have a conference schedule and non-conference schedule. We're doing an internal little meetup with like Dave Harmon from Fargo, Jesse Swanson from Omaha, probably like 8 to 10 of our local regional players that we're going to host in-house, just so that we're able to have a stronger networking ability and then be able to communicate effectively in our areas, because the East and West Coast tend to dominate the national conversations. And I feel like sometimes in the middle of the nation, we kind of get, I don't want to say left behind, but we don't get included because we're not doing the fancy, big, cool stuff at some of these bigger, cool venues. But there's a lot of power in the upper Midwest, and I'd like to cultivate connections strongly there. So that's going to be our first foray into that. And that's going to be the week after the Wedding MBA. Then the first quarter, I'll be in Las Vegas for PBX and MEX. Plan on being there for that. And then we are helping to produce the Midwest DJs Live Conference. I'm the director of production this year, and our team will be doing the production there for the second year in a row. Last year, we got some really great feedback from some people that I love. I mean, Mike Walter pulled me aside and said, your team did a fantastic job. And that means a lot to me because Mike knows what it's like to have a team to facilitate things like that at a very high level. So that means a lot.
Real quick, I remember when he was standing next to his face. He was standing on stage next to his face on stage, and he made a comment about it. So I remember that happened. He remembered that happened. That's what this is all about, right?
Yeah, it's really cool. Those are just, again, it's when you take, how do we take this conference, make it better? how do we work with these organizations and make them stronger? How do we work with these nonprofits and make them more, profitable, make their fundraising better? I love those pieces, but that's where I'll be the first half of the year. The second half of the year is a blur. So those first half, it's pretty good synopsis. So
I can't wait to the day that you're a keynote speaker at the Snowplow Conference. Can't wait.
Yeah. Mitch Taylor had a bumper sticker because I love getting plowed with Chris. So it's pretty fun. So,
Nice.
But I don't think I'm going to be on that snowplow conference anytime soon. But there is something therapeutic about moving snow, though, David.
I know nothing about that. I live in the deep South.
You're lucky.
We get flurries. Some would say that I'm lucky. Yes, some would not. But on that note, on
the snow note, yeah.
Chris, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for your time. For all the listeners out there, a couple things that Chris touched on, talking about recruitment. We have some great free resources for that on blueprintlearn.com/resources. There's some great templates and resources that you can start using today if you'd like to take advantage of those. Again, Chris Hintz, my man, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks, David.